Hey, how y'all doing? So talking about neurodivergent experiences, well, there's benefits to, some of our traits and stuff, depending on what type of neurodivergence you are. I'm AUDHD, ADHD, however you want to pronounce it, which means autism and ADHD both and stuff. And one of the things that I have is perfectionism. I think a lot of us have perfectionism, but when you're dysregulated, perfectionism can really suck. When you're regulated, it can help you a lot, especially if you've got a job that may be detail oriented. If you are regulated and you have perfectionism, you're going to catch all those details. You're going to catch things, you're going to see things that other people don't. You're going to be more exact than most people because that hyper focus is also going to step in with that perfectionist. However, if you're unregulated, then perfectionist is a curse. Everything you do has to be perfect. If you make a mistake, it's like chopping off an arm, if you will. It's something that really hits you to your core. It's not something that you cannot take personal. You have no choice but to take it personal when you make a mistake, when you're unregulated and a perfectionist. When I was younger, I used to be like that. So whenever I screw up, whenever I made a mistake, it was difficult to deal with that in a mature way, and I'll be honest about that. It was very difficult to deal with it in a mature way. I dealt with things very immaturely because I was dysregulated dealing with perfectionism tendency. So, and like I said, any mistake I beat myself up for, especially when I hurt people, because I am a very empathetic person. But I used to tell people all the time, listen, if I do you wrong, you don't have to do anything to get back at me because I will punish myself more than anyone else ever will. And I was very abusive with myself in the way that I dealt with myself when I would harm other people or do something that would cause harm to someone else and stuff. I would torture myself, literally. I was very abusive. The things I would say to myself and how I would just treat myself when I made mistakes and stuff. Like I said, when you're regulated, now that I'm a regulated human being, the perfectionist is a great thing to have. It keeps me focused, it keeps me on the right track, it keeps me wanting to make sure everything is good and that I'm not making those mistakes here and there, so on and so forth. But when you're dysregulated, it can really just freaking screw up your life. That's the nicest way to put it. So just something to think about. Maybe you relate to it. I hope you have an amazing Tuesday. You are an awesome, amazing human being, and I love you so much. Peace out and bye.